Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. This is Reservations. I'm Jeremy Blair.
And I'm Rain Whalen.
And before we get into our episode today, we saw Dune.
Oh my god.
It was so good!
Yes. I don't know if we'd actually talked about it on mic, but Jeremy and I, off mic, have been very excited for Dune.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we have discussed how much we love Denis Villeneuve.
Well, I mean, we did the Prisoners episode, so
yeah.
I assume we talked about it then.
Yeah, and we will, because David, for commenting, we will do Blade Runner.
Yeah. Eventually we'll do...
We will do Blade Runner.
Yeah, we'll do Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049.
Oh, man. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, it was. It was so rad.
It's everything you actually want an adaptation to be. I actually, later that night when I got home, there was already a Watch Mojo video up about the differences between Lynch's version and this one.
A lot.
And there are a lot. It's because David Lynch, not to say he did a bad job, but he tried to condense this massive book into 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And Denis was like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do that to the House of Atreides. I know now. You know what I mean? Well, I'm hip to all that now.
And I feel like Denis, if he had his way, he would have done it, but it would have been like 5 hours long.
Yeah.
And Warner was like, no,
that's too long.
That's too long. We don't trust like that.
Yeah, that's too long. Doesn't he have like a 6-hour Blade Runner cut that I would kill to see?
Does he really?
Yeah.
I would love that. And I would also love if they did that for Dune. Like when both versions come out on home release, if they did a supercut and it was all
supercut.
That'd be so great. But yeah, so fair warning to everyone who doesn't know, this is only just the first half.
Yeah, part one.
Not trying to shame anyone, but my mother-in-law didn't realize that until halfway through the movie, even though the movie opens with
Dune Part 1.
Dune Part 1.
But she might have thought that, it was going to be like a movie with chapters, right? Like part 1.
Yeah, part 1, yeah. But this is just the first half, but it's solid, man.
It only covers the first 94 minutes in David Lynch's Dune.
Damn, that's pretty much half of his movie already.
Yeah.
And it was just so... We talked about it after we walked out of the theater, man, and it's... How they handled the internal politics of the movie it was great. Like, you don't have to really know the characters of Dune to get it.
Yeah, I mean, it was very well done, not boring.
No.
When you say, like, the politics and stuff, you're like, ugh.
You probably think The Phantom Menace.
Yeah, you think Phantom Menace. You think, like, fucking city council meetings and shit. And I'm just like, I hate this. But he does it in such a way that you're not bored.
Well, and something else in that Watch Mojo video, and I think I might link it up there.
Up there?
Up there.
Okay.
The way y'all can check it out once you see it. Is the exposition of the movie. Lynch is very heavy-handed with it.
Yes.
As we've discussed, you don't like.
No.
But as where Denis interworks it very naturally.
Yeah.
Where
obviously there is some open narration, which you do need. I mean, the book is,
the book is massive.
Yeah, and not only is it massive, but it's so dense with information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like our fantasy fans out there who love George R.R. Martin. I've been told all the Game of Thrones books are so dense with world building that it's not hard to keep track, but you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Same thing with Dune.
Do you think they'll ever do an adaptation of his Game of Thrones books? Sorry, I couldn't even do that with a straight face. I've never seen Game of Thrones, so
I think you would dig it. It's like Lord of the Rings, just less hobbits.
Hobbits what I like about it.
But it was great. And if anyone out there sees it and tries to compare it to Star Wars, don't.
I did. It's the first thing I thought of was this is Star Wars for people who can read. Or, like, Dune is Star Wars for people who have had sex. Dune is Star Wars for smart people. Let's do a few more. Dune is Star Wars.
Well, I was telling Alex about it last night, and I told him that's what you said. And he was like, well, I mean, kind of truthfully, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because if Frank Herbert had never written Dune... we would have never gotten Star Wars. But then Alex made a good observation. Had Star Wars never happened, then we would have never gotten this version.
That's
of Dune.
true. That is true.
It's I can't think of the term.
It's a paradox.
Well, the snake eating its own tail in
Yeah, it's the Ouroboros.
yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Yes. One could not have happened without the other.
Yeah,
but more
yeah.
importantly, if Dune was never written, then we would have never gotten Star Wars.
Right.
Which it took a lot for me not to correct those guys behind us when we were walking out.
I'm also excited because, or at least I am cautiously optimistic because Denis Villeneuve is going to also do a series, an accompaniment to Dune. So
Like covering the other books?
I think so. I don't know. I know it's a series to further, I guess
The lore.
right, and the
Okay.
other books, and so hopefully it won't be a mess. It won't ruin it. I don't think it will because it's Denis Villeneuve still, but
And see, that seems to be... Hang on, everyone. That seems to be a running thing that Warner's doing now. Having these directors helm series to follow certain movies. Like with James Gunn's Suicide Squad, they just released the first trailer for Peacemaker.
yeah,
And then I think they're still doing it for
which I will watch. I gotta be honest, it looks fun. It looks like fun.
and they're making Peacemaker be more sympathetic.
Oh, lame.
Did you not watch the trailer for it?
I did, but I guess you're right. He is more sympathetic, but
But I mean, he kind of has to be. He's the hero of the show, so they have to make him likable.
Yeah.
But then I think they're also doing it for the Batman, a show that's going to follow.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright's Jim Gordon, which that I'm actually pretty excited for.
It's what I wanted Gotham to be.
Yeah.
I did not like. I watched the first couple of episodes of Gotham, and I go, I hate this.
Well,
And then I
also
stopped
they didn't
watching
have the correct licensing either, so they.
Is that true?
Yeah, dude, they couldn't do half the shit that they, like Cameron Montague's Joker is not technically the Joker.
Right, I knew
because
that.
They couldn't call him that because Warner said no.
See, that's the same thing that we were talking about last time with Spectre,
Yeah.
right? Is that you can have the rights to James Bond, but not
Spectre.
Spectre. That doesn't make any sense to me. If you have the rights to Batman and to Gotham and all that stuff, you should have it. Should be all encompassing, but I guess it doesn't. I guess.
I mean, well, then the same could be said with Marvel and Sony with
That's true.
Spider-Man.
That's true. People can own different characters, which is odd, but
Yeah, it's really weird. Anyway, we're not here to talk about
Dune was amazing. Go
Dune
see
was
it.
awesome. Go see it.
I recommend a theater.
100%.
But if I guess if you're still worried and you're still sort of like, or if you don't want to pay that much money and you're already paying for HBO, go ahead and watch it on HBO. But go see it in the theater. I recommend seeing it in a theater.
It
big
is. This movie was designed to see it in theaters. I mean, like, granted, it's a contradiction because when it comes out on home release, obviously, you and I are probably going to get it.
Of course.
But in the first 30 days, you got to.
You got to, man. It's so good, and it's. We saw it on a massive screen. We went to the Synergy Epic screen,
It was
right?
comparable to IMAX if anyone goes to Regal or.
So I am told that they did get the air conditioner fixed, so I might go back to Regal.
That's good. Yeah, because even though I like Synergy, I am getting tired of. Hang on, everyone. I'm tired of when we get there, the concession line is backed up, and dude, I was so hungry when we left. I was so hungry. Anyway,
I had eaten beforehand.
Dune was awesome.
Dune, go see it.
Go see it.
Okay, but today we're talking Tron.
Yeah, we're talking
Tron.
Talking Tron.
Had never seen it. This was my first time.
So okay. So before I ask you what you thought of it, so yes, everyone, we are discussing the 1982 film Tron. This is technically a Disney movie. I think most people forget that because it doesn't really feel like a Disney movie.
No.
But this is during that weird 80s period of Disney movies where they were trying to...
Dude, their movies were tanking, and this was no exception.
Yeah, this one, and even its subsequent sequel, which is part 2 of this, are both considered cult films.
Yeah.
So, Jeremy.
Yeah.
So what did you think about it?
When it started, I was like, uh-oh, I don't like this. Because it was boring. I thought it was so dull.
The first 30 minutes it's very boring.
And that's precisely when I just sat down. I was like, fine, I'm just because I was packing.
Oh yeah.
Right. And wrong of me to watch something and do something else at the same time. But we're trying to move and trying to get out of the house. So I was packing up my movies. Teardrop. I hate doing that. And I only got 2 shelves done. And so I was doing that, and then it was the 30-minute mark. I go, I really need to start paying attention to this because, like, I've been introduced to so many people that I don't know who they are.
Yeah, they throw a ton of information
Yeah.
at you at once.
And then once it gets sucked into the game,
That's when
I loved it. I thought it was so
awesome.
much fun. I was finding myself really enjoying the aesthetic, how it looked. I loved, I mean, obviously, yes, it's old and it doesn't look slick or anything, but it looked cool. And I love, my favorite color is blue. It's one of the reasons, I love Watchmen so much is Dr. Manhattan. I just love the glow of the blue. I don't know what it is. It hugs my brain. And so I really enjoyed that. And I liked that they did their skin in black and white. And that was dope. Do I understand everything that went on and what was going on? Not really, but I have you for that.
Well, I'll do the best I can do.
Because I kind of yada through the first 30 minutes, my viewing experience. But I did notice that they were using the same actors.
Yeah, as
in the real world, I would assume for the audience to have them have some sort of emotional attachment to these lifeless things.
Yeah.
These programs. But I did really enjoy the computer part. That part I loved.
So I think then when we get to part 2, I think you'll enjoy Legacy, because Legacy, and we're not going to do Legacy. I just want to let Jeremy know, Legacy builds on a lot of the things that they did with this. But anyway, so Tron. Just brief synopsis, everyone, if you hadn't seen it. So Tron is in 1982, I believe, Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's outright said.
It looked like Los Angeles.
But I'm pretty sure it's Los Angeles, because I want to say the sequel takes place in Los Angeles. Anyway, we have a ton of characters that we are thrown in the first 30 minutes.
There's a bunch of people.
Let's start with the real people.
Yes.
There is Bruce Boxleiter as Alan.
Mm-hmm.
Alan. There is, I don't know her name, Laura.
Uh-huh.
And then our man Jeff Bridges. As Flynn.
Yeah.
Flynn, what's his full name? Because Flynn is his last name.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, he's always, the movie cemented that he's just known as Flynn. And they are, apart from Flynn, they are employees of I'm assuming a tech conglomerate called Incom, which is, I guess, run technically by this guy named Dillinger, who
is stereotypically evil.
Yes, because he's British.
He's like, it reminded me of the guy that Peter. Oh my god, I forgot his name. It doesn't matter. In Star Wars, he reminded me of that the first lieutenant or whatever in the original Star Wars. Or whatever in the.
In A New Hope.
In Empire. Yeah.
Tarkin.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's stereotypical evil because he's British,
and he looks just like him too.
But this actor is still alive.
Oh, okay. That's insane.
Because I looked it up. I was
How
like,
old is he? 1,000?
I think he's like almost 80.
Oh, really? Oh, he looked terrible back then.
But then, so the movie. So then let's get to the digital world.
Yeah.
Where we have these other characters of Tron, Yori, Ram, Sark, and then the Master Control Program.
Yeah.
Or MCP. So the movie is very 80s in the aspect of computers are becoming more common in day-to-day life. By
more
this point,
common, but not prevalent.
Correct.
Like, because I watched a featurette. I actually did some.
A little bit of research.
Well, not just research kind of, but I actually watched the special features. I always say I'm going to do that, I never do. But in this one, it was, which they're absolutely right. It's amazing that they wrote this thing and they're having people say these words that they don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm kind of familiar with these words and I know nothing about computers, But imagine literally knowing nothing, and they're throwing these words at you like bit and program and like all this like jargon in the computer programming world that I know what a bit is because of the Social Network. That's what I know what a bit is. But these guys are just like, I don't know, computers are crazy. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what these words mean.
Yes. I should mention, if anyone decides to watch this movie, they are going to say a lot of things that in today's terminology actually doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, why would one thing do the other? It's almost like the director, I can't think of his name, was almost like kind of reaching out, like, yeah, this will make sense.
Yeah.
In 10 years.
And in a way, it kind of does.
It does
because we are familiar with these terms now, and he's right that computers did become very prevalent, and
and we almost have this because the embodiment of the programs are almost like a digital presence that we now have today, which of course Tron Legacy doubles down on. We'll get to that next week. But yeah, and especially for 82.
Like, no, it's extremely impressive.
Trying to get a personal computer in 82 was hard.
You'd have to be a zillionaire.
Yeah, you'd have to be Steve Jobs founding Apple, then fired from Apple to get that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's talk about our humans real quick.
Okay.
So again, Alan and Laura are engineers at Incom. Alan being
where Flynn used to work.
Flynn used to work, yes. Alan, of course, is a software engineer. Laura is they kind of yada yada over what the hell Laura is.
They kind of yada yada over Laura, but that's
fine. I think honest to God, I think they put Laura in the movie to cause some kind of friction between Flynn and Alan.
Yeah.
Because obviously Flynn dated Laura at some point. And now Alan is dating her. Spoiler, Flynn gets her back.
Yeah.
Technically, because she's not in Tron Legacy.
Aww.
But all of a sudden Flynn has a kid.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
So, anyway. I think she was just put in the movie just for tension purposes only.
I agree.
But anyway, yes, so Flynn is no longer an employee at Incom because Flynn, being so passionate about programming, would come in late, stay late, and work on a bunch of video games because they're also very vague about what the hell Incom is.
Yeah. It's almost like they're multifaceted. Like they do this, they do that, they do video games, they do,
And so apparently Flynn had designed these really good video games, and Dillinger stole them all and presented them to the board as his ideas. And as Flynn mentions, doesn't even change the name.
Right.
And they promoted him to senior executive, which I don't...
That I caught while I was packing. And I was like, they hit that word too hard. Like I'm supposed to be like,
senior exec.
And you know what I did? Not that.
Yeah, because he's like, he begins his meteoric rise to, what is it? Executive VP? And then Laura's like, senior executive. And he's like...
I don't know what those words are. Those words mean nothing to me.
Senior exec. But so Flynn is trying to prove, as we're kind of introduced in the beginning, Flynn is trying to prove that Dillinger did steal it, which of course he knows he did, but he has to find the digital paper trail. But what he's actually doing is creating an enemy because Dillinger is in cahoots with his master control program.
Yep.
And that master control program is also stereotypical evil.
Very
evil. Which is voiced by the same actor who plays Dillinger.
That's fun.
Apparently it was uncredited. But the whole time I was watching it today, I was like, that voice sounds really familiar. Yeah. And it's because I get it. I was like, because technically Dillinger, because as it's told through exposition, the master control program started as a chess program that Dillinger came in and, I guess, rebuilt. Which I don't even know how he knew how to do that in the 80s.
Yeah.
Of course, we should also mention this is like during the time of like when War Games or did War Games come out? You know War Games?
War Games come out after this, I think.
Oh, okay. well, shit, I was gonna say, you know, like fucking War Games was doing this shit.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
Big.
Tron started War Games.
You're welcome, Matthew Broderick.
Yeah, you're welcome. War Games.
War Games. Yeah. So Flynn devises a plan with Laura and Alan that if they can get him into Incom and get him to a terminal, he can not only prove that Dillinger stole his plans, but Alan could get his Tron program. That's the name of the movie.
That's the name of the movie.
Tron program, who apparently Alan designed to ping, I guess, unregistered protocols and shut them down. As in, Tron could shut down the Master Control program, and they can get Dillinger out. Well, the Master Control program, being somewhat sentient, decides, well, if I get rid of Flynn, this plan will go nowhere.
Right.
And Flynn gets sucked into the computer.
Sucked into the computer. Now the movie gets good and fun, you know?
Yes.
Because it's boring up until that point. Although I did laugh out loud when he goes, it's a big door. When the door is swinging up,
slowly.
it's so slow, but it's so thick, too. And it's like, it's a big door.
Also, I should mention, man, so this was almost 10 years before he did The Big Lebowski. My man was looking hot.
My man looked good, dude. And, of course, we'll get to my favorite piece of trivia. But,
Oh, yeah, that I just learned.
oh, you didn't know?
I didn't know either.
Yeah.
I just thought that we'll get there. Hang on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, hang on, I just want to gush over Jeff Bridges really quickly.
Yeah.
He plays the passionate nerd so well.
Yeah.
Because Flynn, he has his own arcade shop, which is pretty tight.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's pretty tight. Comes back in the sequel. It's just called Flynn's. Like, how dope is that? Like, hey man, we're gonna hang out at Flynn's today.
Yeah, I love Flens.
And my man apparently crushes it on all the games.
Yep.
And it's dude, Jeff is just.
I just like that he's got his, you know, it's got his Walkman in, you know.
Yeah.
He's crushing, so sweaty, you know.
Uh-huh.
His underarms were so sweaty.
Yeah.
Like when they first see him. You
Yeah,
know?
and then he's got to change his shirt.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Looked
And what I really love is that he's a nerdy, but he's also still kind of a hippie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because man, like you can tell he's still got that little bit of hippiness in him.
Yeah.
Which really comes back in Legacy, which I dig so much. Anyway.
Cool.
But yeah, so Flynn is sucked into the computer, and now I want to gush over how they did this.
Yeah.
Because I'm assuming, did you get to the part where they talk about how they
No.
did this? Okay.
No.
So they shot everything in, I believe, black and white.
Mm-hmm.
But not only black and white, the sets were painted black and white.
Oh, that's cool.
And then what they did is they sent the footage. I'm going to try to remember this. They sent the footage to literally be hand colored.
Which is rotoscoping.
Yes, that's what they did. Because they had different templates to lay over to color it, and that's how they achieved the effect of them glowing. And it's it has not aged well, but
I like that it looks like a hand drawn thing, right? Yeah. Which it is, hand drawn, because you can see the sort of flickering. It's almost like they're vibrating, right? Because that's what hand drawn looks like. You know, if something is staying still, but you have to keep drawing it over and over again, you're gonna make mistakes, and you're gonna put a line somewhere it's not supposed to be, so it looks like it's moving, it's shaking.
Yeah.
A great example of this would be like Home Movies, or right, a show I just started watching.
Jeremy's just been rewatching home movies,
and I love it. But you know, they're shaking, right?
Yeah.
Because it's crudely hand drawn. And another great example would be It's Such a Beautiful Day. Go back and watch that.
Shout out to our It's Such a Beautiful Day episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, and you know, it's impressive.
Yeah, it's extremely impressive.
Especially because when you're in the computer, it's not. I'm trying to think of another good example where someone gets like sucked into a computer.
There's an episode of Fairly Odd Parents when he gets sucked into the computer.
Yeah, where Timmy. Yeah, do
you remember that episode?
Yeah, I remember that episode. Because I think it's the first time they did Timmy in 3D.
Ooh.
I think. Anyway, I just love that they portray programs as almost like people.
They're people, yeah.
And which like I said in last week's episode, I saw Tron Legacy first, and I really dig that programs in their world are almost like people,
Yeah.
as well, and
they know like what they were beforehand. Like,
yeah, because so here's the whole evil plan that Master Control MCP has, is he's been snatching up programs, and if you're of use to him, he essentially hooks you up to his mainframe and essentially steals bits of your information. And if you are no of use to him, well, he sends you to the games, and you're trained to play in the games, which I assume are the video games that we see. Which I have a little bit of inconsistency with that. I'll get to in a second. But this is where we meet Ram.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we meet Tron, and this is where they meet Flynn, the first user, because they almost portray users as sort of like.
Which this I liked. This was like some Lord of the Flies shit where they're the programs that believe in users are religious fanatics.
Yeah.
Right. It's like literally they use the term religious fanatics, and they it's a religion to them to believe in
That the users wrote us.
right.
Yeah.
Which I think if explored further could be really interesting. It's an interesting concept and interesting philosophy.
I don't mean to keep bringing up Legacy because
we're gonna get there.
We're gonna get there next week,
man.
But in Legacy, they kind of doubled down on it a little bit more.
Because I thought it was an interesting concept. This movie goes really fast.
Yeah,
and doesn't really have time to. Which, as much as I enjoyed the movie and it was very entertaining, I have problems.
Yeah,
I have problems, and so we'll get to those problems. But one of them is things are moving too fast for you to
have a second to comprehend,
or not just comprehend, but like care.
Yeah.
Like when Flynn and the girl won, what was her name?
Yori.
When they had that moment, that kiss. Well, why? Who cares? Do they even know each other? Like, I don't fucking care about any of this,
I have my theory on that.
Okay.
But in Legacy, they kind of.
It's going to, like, the events are moving too fast for the characters to live within the space.
Right.
Right.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, and Legacy.
Don't let me get me started on the last, 5 minutes. That's crazy fast.
Yeah, it's so fast.
And go ahead.
But Legacy, I will go and tell you this. Legacy really, they don't slow the pace down, but you do get a chance to feel this more lived-in world. Especially considering the world in Legacy is much more physically polished, which, dude, Legacy is so good. Anyway, both movies are great. Anyway, so Flynn is trying to figure out what the hell is going on, where he's at.
Right.
I love how he tells the other the bad programs, it's about these unpaid parking tickets.
Like, what? Look around, man. What do you think this is about? Unpaid parking tickets?
I know.
It's so funny.
But it's dude, it's so good, man. But this is where we get more of kind of an understanding of what users could do if they were in this digital space.
Yeah.
Flynn has a lot of power.
Yeah.
More power than the programs because since he's not a program himself,
Right.
it's almost like he can override the system, which is, it's really cool how they show it, that he builds the recognizer.
Yeah.
This, and I love how they have the little hinge fall off on the leg.
Yeah.
But yeah, he rebuilds it, and Ram is like, you shouldn't have been able to do that.
Right.
But yeah, it's very interesting how
I would have liked. Here's a problem I got.
okay.
I would have liked more games, because we start out and I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna go through like these trials and stuff with different. It's like the highlight game, which is that's what that's called, highlight.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, he won barely.
Yeah, because he refused to kill the guy, and so Sark was like, all right, fine.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it'd be cool. I wonder what the next one's gonna be. It's like Squid Game, and It's like I wonder what the next one's going to be. It's going to be fun, and then they quit doing it.
Oh,
He
yeah,
escapes or whatever, and I'm like,
they go to the light race.
I think it would have been cool. Oh, the light race. That was the next one.
Yeah,
But
that's it.
Right, but that's it. And that was cool, of course. It's iconic. The bikes.
I'm gonna go ahead and burst your bubble.
Okay.
Legacy, they only do 2 games also. They do a light race and they do
Sad.
they do more of like a frisbee-esque one with their
That's me being sad.
identity disc.
Yeah, dude, I know what an identity is. Okay.
Anyway.
I watched the movie today.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen the frisbee.
So yes. So kind of going back to what you said about how they have the actors playing the humans and the programs. I agree. I think it's more for the audience, but it's also for Flynn now being in this world, a way he can recognize people. Because when he sees Tron, he calls him Alan.
Yeah.
And Tron's like, "How do you know that name?
How do you know our names?
How do you know that?" And did you like how Tron had a T on his chest? It was really cool too. It was 3 dots.
Yeah.
And then 2 here. But yeah, and Flynn gets Tron's trust by saying, like, yeah, I know Alan. He sent me, my user knows him, and they sent me in here to find you. And because I think Flynn's starting to learn, like, well, if I come out and say I'm a user, I'm dead.
Right.
But if I play along that I'm a program, then hey, well, we can help each other.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
He could have just said, like, hey, I'm a user. I know your user. Let's get out of here.
Kind of the whole movie doesn't make sense, but that's fine. Again, it's just fun to watch. You know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Like, none of this makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So here comes my first problem.
All right. Cool.
With the light race.
Okay.
Very iconic scene. Most people should know the light race. If you've never seen Tron, you've probably seen the light race parodied somewhere. I know Family Guy does a really good parody of it. And I think it even spawned a video game. Like a legitimate video game.
Are you ready for this?
I'm ready for this.
Outgrossed the movie.
The video game? Yeah.
The video game made more money than the movie did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it did. And it was very popular, obviously.
But, what was the point I was about to make with the light race?
I don't know, about the light race.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, my problem. So, very early on in the movie, we see someone at Flynn's playing the light race. But you see Sark and another program playing, they're playing it. But how is this guy playing the game if they make their own decisions?
Yeah, I don't know. I like to think of it as maybe it's like no one's playing it right now and it's the demo, Like, I don't know.
But we see a guy like grab the joystick and he's like, damn it.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't think they were thinking that far ahead. They're like, okay, so we're gonna...
Yeah, it's not like Wreck-It Ralph. You know what I mean? Most movies should be like Wreck-It Ralph, but it's not.
Oh my god, I can't believe we just used Wreck-It Ralph.
I like Wreck-It Ralph. I didn't see the other one.
Ralph Breaks the Internet?
Yeah, I didn't see that.
Another day.
I noticed I was very far away from the microphone. Sorry. But
anyway, so that's my first problem: is if the programs can make their own decisions, why even have this game?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a great question.
But then it also begs the question: in Legacy, Flynn makes a game called Tron. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Anyway,
but it's cool looking.
It is cool looking. And so anyway. So Flynn, Ram, and Tron escape the light race, and they're dope little light race cars.
Yeah.
And they decide, okay, if we can get to this input-output tower, Tron can get a message to Alan.
Yeah.
And they'll know what they need to do next. And then this is when Ram learns of Flynn being a user.
Yeah.
And Ram dies. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
Disney did a short film after Tron Legacy came out, where we get to actually see Ram's user.
Oh.
So he's still alive.
Oh.
Because Bruce Boxleiter isn't back in Legacy, and he calls him Ram. I think it's a completely different actor, but I was like, that's cool.
That's fun.
But Ram dies. We should also mention Flynn also had a program called Clue. I should mention that's important because Clue comes back.
Clue comes back. Okay.
Clue comes back, implying that Flynn writes multiple Clue programs, which Clue means something. It's like
That's an acronym.
Certified Likeness Utility. Yes.
Good
Future
job.
Rain. Double check my
Yeah,
acronym.
Future Rain, you bitch. All right.
That was me.
I know.
Oh well. But see,
Sorry, Future Rain.
But I'm past Rain in
You
this
don't give-
moment.
Yeah,
so.
you don't give a shit.
Yeah, fuck you. But anyway, so then, yes. So Tron proceeds because he thinks Flynn and Rem are dead. They're not yet, or at least Flynn isn't.
Yeah.
And this is when we meet Yori, who is. It's implied.
There. Who is
there, just like Laura, but it's implied that she's Laura's program.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I sure hope so.
because I mean, otherwise, someone's stealing Laura's likeness.
That's right.
And Tron enlists her help. Yori really doesn't do much.
Yeah. No.
The most she does, she gets them the solar. It's called the Solar Surfer, not the Solar Surfer. She gets them a ship to get to.
Now I will point out we're almost done with the movie.
Oh yes, yes. By this point, we are almost done.
I mean, it's like this movie moves fast. It's only a 90-minute movie. But
Yeah, very very fast and furious.
Tokyo Drift.
And Tron gets a message to Alan. Alan's like, I've encoded your disk with the kill code. Get it to the MCT control room, and we're Gucci.
Yeah, we're Gucci.
Flynn finally catches back up with them.
Yep.
Technically, he sacrifices himself by jumping directly into the master control program.
Yeah.
But somehow he knew jumping into him and Tron being able to do the kill code will shoot him back out of the computer.
Yeah.
Which that was a big gamble for him to take.
Big gamble.
Because just like in Nightmare on Elm Street, you die in the computer, you die in real life.
Is that true?
I don't know.
I don't know. Either.
I would assume.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, because in Legacy they kind of point that out. Sorry, I know I keep saying I'm not going to talk about Legacy, but
Yeah, you've said it multiple times.
But Richard, I do remember the director's first name, Richard. What he doesn't explain in this movie, they explain in Legacy.
Like retroactive, like
Yeah.
Like I bet you we can explain some of the nonsense.
like Sam, Flynn's son,
Johnny Five.
Johnny Five gets cut at one point and he bleeds.
Oh no.
And that's how they know he's not a program.
Oh no.
But anyway, so I would assume if you die in the computer, Flynn dies for real. But no, they're able to defeat the master control program. Flynn gets shot back out of the computer and gets the evidence that Dillinger stole his shit.
Yeah, and then he becomes
the
okay. So here's my problem with the movie is this section the most part because I think another movie, which again I'm glad this movie wasn't fucking 2 hours long, but like it's just too fast. Like he gets out of the computer, he goes, "Hey guys, I got it," and then we fade to black, and then we fade back in,
and he is now the senior. I'm gonna assume.
Listen,
he takes Dillinger's job.
It's like being a Highlander. You know, there can only be one, and he defeated that one. Therefore, he gets to take its place. Which is crazy.
Well, and here's the even crazier part. In Legacy, somehow he becomes the CEO of Incom.
It's been a while. That makes more sense. But it's where he got from not being unemployed to running the in in God knows how much time that we don't know. Right?
Yeah.
Like a day, an hour.
A day. One day.
One day later.
He goes to the board of directors. He stole my shit. All right, you're fired. You're rehired. Take his job.
You're out. You're in. Sit down.
Take his job.
Cool headphones.
Cool headphones, man. Wear a suit from now on.
Yeah.
Because he wears.
It's like fine, but I'm not wearing a tie. I'm
fine.
Fine. I'm putting the collars above the lapels, bro. You know how I do. That's my major problem with the movie is just how fast that goes and how little information you get. I mean, hey,
I think it's meant to be kind of like the shout out to our Back to the Future episodes. I think it's kind of meant to be the nice kind of like wrap up.
Yeah, yeah,
You
wrap
know,
up.
Marty's life is now perfect.
Yeah.
Which I just recently learned. Sorry, everyone. Eric Stoltz found another reason why he was having a problem is because apparently he felt like the ending was too sad because only Marty remembered how his life was.
Oh.
And I was like, my man, his life is perfect now.
Yeah, his life's good now. His life's Gucci now, dude.
His parents are fucking loaded.
Yeah.
He's got the truck of his dreams.
He's got that hot ass girlfriend.
Got that hottest girlfriend in the first movie.
No offense to Elizabeth Shue, but come on.
Come on. Claudia Wells.
Do better. You know?
But yeah, apparently Eric was like, that's sad.
Sad.
And apparently, sorry everyone.
Oh
I also recently learned that Eric was taking it very seriously. Like he was taking it very serious. Like he had actually been sucked into the 50s. That's why they ultimately were like, Eric.
That doesn't make sense because he needs to be a fish out of water. And anyway, it doesn't matter.
We'll talk more about it once this is over. But anyway, yeah. So
let's get this over with.
Yes. So yeah. The ending is so fast, and it, like I said, I think it's. I mean, even though this movie came out before Back to the Future, I think it's kind of like that. Like they were trying to wrap it up. Flynn's life is now perfect.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to go back to that arcade. He's now running the company.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is, that turnaround time is kind of off.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm glad we didn't have to spend a ton of time outside the computer because I like the computer stuff. And again, I'm glad this movie wasn't, 2 hours.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was just fun. It's fun. It's fun to watch. It's
It
a fun
is a
movie.
fun-
I probably will watch it again. I think it was fun. So.
It is a fun movie, and it's wild to think that now the director and writer of the movie is super more about nature now. Everyone should check out the show on Disney Plus called Prop Culture, because one of the episodes is about Tron, and they go and they interview Richard, and he's like super into like woodwork now. I think he owns he owns one cell phone, I think just for emergencies, but it's not really even that smart of a smartphone. Apparently he doesn't have any computers in his house. He's just like super mellow now.
Yeah, what a fun coincidence.
Yeah.
Or not a coincidence, but like it's like a
ironic
thing.
That he wrote this movie about living in a digital age, and now he's almost
off the grid.
Rejected all of that.
That's funny. I wonder if like he made people just assume he'd be like super techie, right?
Uh-huh.
But I wonder if he's always been like that, and he just like had this cool idea for this movie, right?
I'm gonna have to rewatch that episode because it's a good episode because he really gets into like how he came up with the idea of Tron in the first place because he wrote and directed the movie, and then why he is the way he is now. So I'm gonna have to rewatch it, but now, so Jeremy, I've been waiting for you to tell the audience the little fun fact.
Oh, my favorite piece of trivia? Okay,
so,
cool.
Okay. So, all right. So, how to bring this up. So, the costumes that everyone wears in the movie, they were trying to be very futuristic. So, everyone wears leotards. And, I think it's like foam pieces of like armor on their arms and legs. And then their helmets are hockey helmets.
Yeah.
But Jeremy.
Yeah.
But doesn't Jeff Bridges...
His is a little different.
His is a little different.
And at first you're like, why? And then you read this little something, and you go, okay. That's
so
cool.
Jeff has a sort of a tunic over his leotard. Now, this isn't the only time we see it, so I think it's another... No.
I think they did it just because they're like, we have to make it make sense because he can't be the only one wearing one.
Yeah, because we see a few people like this, but why did Jeff have to do it?
He got a big old ding dong. And so apparently his bulge was so big that they're like, oh man, that's gonna be distracting. And so they're like, we gotta have him wear something, And so he's wearing that dancer's belt and the fucking tunic or whatever, and to cover up his big old ding dong.
His magnum dong.
Yeah, or balls. It's just the balls they talk about. He could have massive balls. I don't know. But
dude.
I'm assuming it's ding dong.
That just made me think of that New Girl episode where Jess is all like, and if I'm being honest, ladies, isn't it about the gonads? And they're all just like, but yeah, that's so fucking funny.
Just packing heat down there, and it makes like, if I were another actor on that movie, I'm like, where's my tunic? I'm like, you don't need one.
Oh, Bruce Boxleiter, you don't need one.
You don't need it, bud. You know.
And he's just like, oh.
And so yeah, he had he's got a big old piece,
Big old
wang. Good for Jeff Bridges.
dude. And are you surprised?
No,
I mean,
not in the slightest. Am I surprised?
like I said, especially 82. My man was very handsome.
Very handsome.
He had that nice.
Great hair.
He always has great hair.
I know.
Even now.
I know.
Even
It's great hair
when
back
he-
then, you know.
Even when he shaved his head for Iron Man, he still looked great.
Great hair, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So man, I'm glad you dug it.
I did. I thought it was fun. It's a fun movie.
There are some things I can't even answer because there is a lot of.
I don't have enough wherewithal to even ask a question. It's like, you know, when teachers at school, they'll ask you any questions. I go, I would need to understand it more to ask you a question.
What's funny, I was telling Ashley. Sorry, everyone. I'm bending over to see how much our recording is. I was telling Ashley how earlier today that I barely passed physics in high school because I didn't get it, which is wild because I love math and physics is mostly math. But I was like, what? But yeah, well, and also
Chip Calloway.
yeah,
Nice. Me too. I Calloway.
I'm 90% certain he just passed me because he liked me.
Like, you gotta get out of here, man.
Please just get the hell out.
You make me sad.
But anyway, but like, and I would have a hard time answering it anyway because kind of like what I said earlier is not necessarily what they say is contradictive, but they do mix a lot of terminology that we use now in ways that if you're thinking about it now, you're like, wait, that doesn't make any sense.
Like, they're using it wrong.
Essentially.
Like, the terminology, like, they're saying it right. It's just you're not using it in the right context.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I get that. That makes perfect sense.
But yeah. Yeah, man, I'm really glad you liked it. I'm really glad you liked it.
Yeah, man.
I was a little worried when I first pitched you the idea of like, hey, I need a 2-parter. Here's why. And I was like, shit, he's gonna hate at least the first one. I have a feeling you're gonna like Legacy.
No, I was surprised that I was enjoying myself watching it, and I was like, oh, I like this. You know?
And of course, one of my favorite parts of Legacy is the soundtrack. My robot dads of Daft Punk who scored it.
I think we told our audience we were Daft Punk, but
Oh well.
I guess that cat's out of the bag. We are not Daft Punk. Damn it.
Or we might be. I may be just calling myself dad.
Ew.
I know.
I don't like that.
I'll trust like that.
I'm leaving. So next week we're doing Tron Legacy.
Yes. So, Jeremy, are you ready to wrap up?
I am. I'm excited to watch Tron Legacy. It's going to be fun. I'll have to keep it out of a box so I could...
Well, if you forget, just tell me, and I'll let you borrow my copy.
I'll let you know, because we're not moving till Monday, so I mean, I have plenty of them. But
yeah, so last week I said this is going to be 2-parter. This one is part 1, and next week is part 2, Tron Legacy. As I've been kind of saying throughout this episode, Tron Legacy builds on a lot that was established in this one. Mainly, yes, because it's a sequel, they had to, but because there was a lot of open-endedness in this movie that they had to figure out how to build upon it, and then how can they make it new and fresh and exciting.
Right.
By that, and here's a little tease. The introduction of the ISOs. It is wild. The implications of that.
Olivia Wilde? Yeah, she's in it.
Oh yeah. Cora. That's her character's name. Can you see where?
Is that why you named your cat Cora?
Jordan named her that.
Oh, okay.
But yes, because we were watching Tron Legacy a lot, and he really liked the name Cora, and so he named his cat.
Aw, I love that cat.
But yeah, Tron Legacy, like I said last week, that I saw that one first before I saw the original Tron. I had known of the original.
Well, yeah.
But I'd never seen it, and then my dad bought me the pack that I have.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm finally gonna watch this.
Yeah.
And I dug it. And I was like, it fits so well because there's a lot of references they make to this one, which of course they had to.
Of course.
I feel like there's something I was gonna not necessarily warn you about with Tron Legacy, but kind of get you geared for it.
Is it like 3 hours long?
No.
Oh, okay.
I think it barely crests under 2.
Okay.
But it's a little bit more. It's more in the computer. I think there's only.
Good. I prefer that.
I think they only spent about 15 minutes in the room.
Okay, good. I prefer that. If I'm being honest.
Oh, I just remembered. They have finally said that there will be a third movie.
Interesting.
Like last year, they confirmed, like, yes, there will be a third movie. They're hoping to get everyone to come back, which I think would be dope. Especially because with, like I said, the short film that they did, they implied that everyone was going to come back.
Yeah.
And it would be great to see, especially because I think Gareth Davis, I'm going to have to double check.
Yeah.
Well, a director of that, I want to say who I'm thinking of. I'm pretty excited that they're looking at him to direct it. But yeah, man.
Cool. That's exciting.
Yeah. So we hope everyone enjoyed Tron, and we'll see you next week for part 2, Tron Legacy.